Here we are again. Here we are again. So, we're under the cliffs at Waven today. This is getting late afternoon. Tide's coming in. So it's flooding in. What's she doing? So she's flooding in this way. And looks clear enough for lures. So we're going to try some lures. We'll be trying some of this sort of stuff. This Savage gear. Try that. Something like that. We've got some other bits and pieces as well. We've got some, what we got? Got some little worms. What else have we got? Creature crawls, things like that. Whether we use them or not, I don't know. But what else have we got? Scissors. Got Savage gear in there. We've got one on the surface if we fancy it. Something like this as it gets dark. So that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. That's an OSP Do Live. And we've got some 12-pound fluorocarbon I just put on earlier on. And so I'm just trying to sort of visualise where are we now. So we're a good sort of 45 minutes until I'm going to start fishing. And I'll start fishing 2.5 hours before high water. And the plan is just to fish as much as I can in the darkness. And then I'm probably going to go back to the car, and I've got a beach rod where I'm looking to fish a whole squid. Literally, this is high water mark. I assume this is going to be high water mark. I'm pretty confident it will be. A little 10-yard, 15 flick, pretty much where that is. You can see how deep it is, just there. And I'll just set that up. I'll leave it, and I may even carry on with this into the darkness. I've got my lamp in the car and all the gears, another set of gear there. So we're going to do this, lure fish it and see if we can get one like that. And then if it gets too dark to sort of do it, or we ain't had one. So what we'll do, we'll probably stay for an hour and a half past high water. So just as you get that turn of the ebb for half an hour, sometimes on the lures you can actually pick one off that way as well, get a bite then. So that's when you want to be having your squid bait down there. But they will take these in the dark. Some of these had bass on this before. This Illuminous trout lure. Can never rule out a good old-fashioned metal spinner. Pretty effective as well. Savage gear is pretty damn good too. It's very snaggy here, so it looks clear. It looks lure fishable to me. That really does. I'm getting quite excited. I'm going to start lure fishing, I think. Wish me luck. Right, business end. So we've got some Varavas 12-pound fluorocarbon there. A little Savage gear clip, tiny little swivel, and then we've got a trout lure with a VMC fine wire on there. And then we've got the Vanford 2.5, and we've got 131 Suffolk's 131 braid. I think 17-18 pounds, something like that. So with that old braid, that's quite a thin braid, so that will snap if a good fish lunges off. So you've got to drag set just right, he says. So fishing this is only 18 grand, but I'm fishing this because, saying that, the wind's just now got up, but it's still a little bit murky there. And let's see if we can see the lure. Sort of steady sort of retrieve. I don't let it sink. Is there any weeds? Which way is the lure? Hit a little bump then. There it is. Right, that's good enough. No weed. Drag set is okay. It's going to rain. World's your oyster. It's clear enough. So the Savage gear seeker will work here too. I've had bass on this lure, so I'm confident to start with it. caught bass on this lure last time, they had fish that size in its stomach. And we're literally just raining on us now. And we're just, Savage gear will work here. There you are, that's lovely. That's lovely. If they're there, they'll see this, they'll have this, no question. In these conditions, no question about it. It's got a nice little grey and dull overcast. A little bit of a swell there. And very snaggy out there, so you don't want to let it sink too much. You don't want to wind in too fast, but you don't want to wind in too slow. You want to get that action of the lure really sort of... So I'm just sort of focusing a bit. So it's flooding, so I'm actually casting the way the tide is going at the minute. So that's not always my favourite. So it's just taking me a while to sort of suss out what's going on. But saying that, sometimes it don't really matter what you're doing if they're in the mood. But just because you don't get them straight away is usually to do with the tide. So this is because I find the lure works better when it's at like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. So the tide's coming this way, it seems to lift up the lure much more relaxed and natural. I always find when you do this sort of fishing, you want to be really, really relaxed and not uptight at all. And it can take sort of quite a while to get the rim, but that's nice. It's not too clear, but it is clear. That's about perfect. I can actually see the stones. So with that, it doesn't actually matter what lure I use. So this is a proven sort of colour water sort of pattern. And I'm not worried about casting a horizon. See, once I've done this sort of casting in sort of, you know, the 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2 sort of formation, then I know at this moment in this tide that there's no fish out there. So then that's time to move up there 20 yards and repeat the process. Because bass, they're so aggressive. Even if they're not hungry, I get the impression they'll snap at it. But that lure is working a treat. Absolutely working a treat. I'm probably going to put a metal one on soon, like a chrome one. So we're getting towards these last few days. The weather's changing in 2 days' time, so this will be the last of the last, this style of fishing. So I don't think there's nothing right out in front of me there at this moment in time, so I'm not going to waste too much time. I'm going to walk up 20 yards and repeat the process. So yeah, so it's about focusing on these next few days as the last chance until next year, really. But like early spring, autumn is a time when you can get quite a good one. The tide's coming in all the time now. It's going to be up here in about 2.5 hours time. So these are big tides. New moon is actually my preferred. What I'm doing, I'm not actually letting it sink, but very snaggy out there. So what I'm doing, a very relaxed retrieve to sort of let it find its sort of way, so to speak. Clear enough. And as it comes up, it gets even clearer. just focusing on this inshore bit. Not, I could cast a lot further with a different lure, miles out there I could, but just focusing on this inner bit. The old bass. Yeah. But straight silver one on would be nice. Savage gear is good when there's plenty of water there, where you want it to sink down fast, and you can almost let the lure hit the bottom and then sort of bring it back up, because there's lots of snaggy at high water, just fishing at close range like this. But where I am there now, if I was to let it touch bottom, that'd be in the bottom. So it's where it's good, this lure, it's a metal, but it sort of floats. It sort of sinks very slowly. Now this is, we're just coming into the bigger tides. This is a big tide today, but I find the back end of the tides is where it's best, and that figures, because the fish have got hungry in the big tides. I also find that when it's calm like this, you want to be fishing right next to rough ground. The sandy beaches are better when there's a big surf running, or a reasonable swell breakers on the sand for bass. But when it's flat calm, goes clear and flat calm, probably night time and fishing baits just alongside some rough ground is where you want to focus your energy. So I'm giving away all my secrets, all my little secrets I've learned from over the years. And I'll tell you all that, and it's still difficult. The low pressure as well come over, so it's been very settled. And for freshwater fishing, that's a time to avoid going freshwater fishing. But with bass, it's more of a tide thing. That will affect them a little bit, but not so much. Not so much. I've had bass when it's low pressure's come over. That rain over there, look, absolutely hammering it down over there. Big wave. Biggest one yet. The lure's working so lovely, I can't be bothered to change it. I've got a nice little clip on there, Savage gear clip, so I've not got to tie a new one on, I've literally just got to swap them over. Which I might do. I always wash the lures at the end of the session when I get home. Got that salt water off. It's just there where it's a bit of sand. You can get cool fish here as well, on lures. Not done too much lure fishing this year for some reason. Ground's ever changing. Yeah, it changes each year really, with what the sand covers up different rocky marks and all sorts, but this area is pretty good to be pretty consistent. Nearly lost my cap then. I think it's time to change lures. We'll have a change. We will have a change. Oh. So this is a salmon toiser, this is. That's about a 21 gram, 22 gram salmon toiser. Made by a gentleman in New Zealand. Trying to name of the company now. Is it A&Z Baits or something? Designed for catching sea-run salmon. I had 5 bass on it a few years back, not far from this spot. On it. It's just toiser. It sort of vibrates as you look at the end of the rod tip. The vibration it gives off is phenomenal. And the chrome sort of finish. It's quite unique, really. It's a really good. Gives you a lot of confidence when you're fishing with lures, which you know will get the fish if they're there. So that's why we're using it. I've only got one of these, so I don't want to lose it. So I'm not going to take any chances with it. And usually, so that's high tide there. Usually when the waters, I've had fish when the water's a lot higher up, but we're here and we're just sort of, you know, we're not in. I'm trying to say we're not taking it too seriously. Well, we never take it too seriously, really. We're just sort of fishing, really. You never know. You know, we might get an early one. If it's going to be an exceptionally good day, that happens. Usually, you're looking for one. It's going to be 1 or 2 bites at the most. Usually 1. That's why you've got to make the most of it. And when you got it on, you mustn't screw it up. And that can happen. I mean, you could get a codlin grab this sort of lure. You'd be surprised what I've had grab this. I've had flatfish grab it. It's quite a very versatile lure for some reason. Literally everything will grab it. A cod will grab it, whiting I suppose, pouting, coolie. Something about the silvery, vibratory, silvery sort of thing. Irresistible to an old fish. There's a little bit of shit on there. That's gone. That's the lure. You see that? It's very effective. Right, now I've cleaned the lens. This is the Savage Gear Seeker 30 gram. Now the beauty of this lure is, one, I know it's probably one of the best lures for this style of fishing. So it gives you a lot of confidence. So I could let it sink, but it's quite snaggy. So I'll just sort of talk you through how I sort of fish it. Now, if you're in a muddle with it, just a very steady retrieve is all it needs. So it's very, very simple to use. But if you watch how when you stop retrieving, how it sort of spirals back in the tide, deadly. So what I'm saying, so when it's on the drop is when it's at its most deadliest to a fish. But a bass, it'll whack it anyway, whatever it's doing. So you can let it sink a little bit out there, because I know it's deep. It is now anyway, with the tide's coming in. And watching that line and the lure sort of arc round with the tide. So I can stop retrieving. So when I stop retrieving, I know what the lure's doing. I know it's spiraling backwards in the tide. So it's very seductive. Gives off a lot of extra vibration as well. Rain going down my neck. So you can still get a take just in close here. They nearly come out of the water sometimes onto the shore to grab it if they're following it. So tide's coming from this way. So you can keep casting in the same space and sort of walk down, or if you're in a spot, sort of move every sort of 10 or 15 yards and sort of cast the hours of a clock, so to speak. And then once you've completed it, you then move your 15 yards and try again. But I usually find it's like where I am right now, if right out in front of me was 12 o'clock, but the angle of my line now is about 2 o'clock, I find that is the angle when mostly I get most of my takes. When it's going against the tide like it is, so the tide's going this way. And that figures because you get the best action of the lure, you almost ain't got to retrieve it. It'll just sort of flutter in the tide. Like it's most natural. You don't want to be winding too fast with this. Nice and relaxed, but you've got to bear in mind you're not too slow that you're going to catch in the bottom. So you can give it the odd little twitch. Rain's heavy now. See, when the water's clear like this, you can almost put your flatty rigs on with some ragworm, lob it out on a plain lead and just slowly retrieve it. So you can get a place or something. Not here, because that's all rocky out there. But a bit further to my left, you could. But we're getting bloody wet, but I've got waterproofs on, it's just where my trousers are. There's just my waders that little bit there, but I don't care. I don't care. I'm happy that the water's clear to actually do this style of fishing. Sometimes you come and it ain't really, it's questionable whether it's, but this is absolutely spot on. Big tides, so yeah. My GoPro's waterproof. Come on, you. Honking it down. That's quite a good angle. Try that. Pictures. A bass of about £20 to beat the record, and I've actually got to kill it and take it to a tackle shop and weigh it there or something, get it or record it there. I'm not sure I'll be able to do that. I think I'll just let it go. I'll just take a picture of it and say, oh, I think it's £20. Okay, now trying this Savage Gear weedless V2, I think it's called. What we're doing, cast it out a little way, about as far as I dare, and then we jig it along the bottom, pike styley, and feel it on the stones there now. So now I just don't cast it too far, let it sink. it's best to sort of jig it a little bit, just hit the stones there. So yeah, that's it. So we're sort of just jigging it along the bottom, jiggy jiggy jiggy. That's as far as I dare cast with it. Even that's probably been a bit risky, but let it sink. Got to be on the bottom there. I think it's sand there, and now it starts to on the stones. Just lift it. Hook will stay sharp like this. The beauty of this, I suppose, we can try it that away. It's on the bottom there. The stones. I think like that, it's probably best to certainly causes a lot of commotion. There it is. Try a little bit further out there. This angle of the beach, I'm actually sort of trying to lift the lure up as much as I can, just so very close, to try and just bang off a lot of vibration. A little bit of shitty weed on it. Too bad. A little bit further out maybe. Try there. Be on the bottom in a few seconds. Probably not yet, but you can watch the line. There it is. You can watch the line. It'll just sort of it'll bow out when it hits the bottom. Bottom there. Just nice. Further out. Let it sink. That's what I see when we watch this line. So clear this water off the. Got to be on the bottom. Little twitches here. I just feel it on the sand there. Now it's hitting the stones. It's perfect. So we're on the stones. Just want to flick it up a little bit. Lovely. Stones there. Nice, roll back a little bit. I was hoping this rain was going to bugger off. It's the old 21 gram. So what we're doing, we're just sort of Been a bit more daring with it now. Try and bugger the rocks. Just going to whack it out a bit. Just quite a way. I'm just going to pan the line out with the fingers. That's roughly it. I don't want the braid to go in the rocks, or so I want to be in contact with it fairly quickly. Very slow sort of retrieve, and just giving it a little bit of life, a little flick. So I've just touched the bottom there, and there. I'm going to try and just keep it in touch with the bottom, but just off the bottom. Nice. Try our popular 10 o'clock. Right out there. Let it sink for a few seconds. There. That line just went slag. There. High there. Stones and a bit of shit. Down a little bit, 2 yards. Clear it is. Perfect. Bottom there. Feels like sand. It's on the bottom there. Even if the lure's sort of disturbing the sand on the bottom, the bass will just go down right on top of it. And they've gutted bass when they've got whelks in them and all sorts, stones. So they must obviously, they're not just like attacking food which is high up in the water column. They're picking up crabs and things, aren't they? So. Right, it's on the bottom there. Go on a popper here. It's so deep. Convinced it'll be something like this. Or the Savage Gear Seeker or something. Maybe. Just got to get. Lovely. No weed on the bottom there. Tappy tap 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 on the bottom. So just sort of just okay. It's okay. That's it, about as far as we need. I'm going to try and just let it sink a little bit. But when you get in conditions like this, I'll see it from quite a way off, I would have thought. Completely different than fishing with the spinners. Completely. Let's give that a... Ooh, cold. Just winding it and then letting it sink, and then boom, watching the braid just bow out, look, as it hits the bottom. No one there. It's got a bit of shit this time. Rainbow. So here we are, back again. Where what we're doing, we're just we're just fishing a bait on some sand out there, and then we've got a rocky patch sort of just right in front of us for about 20 yards or so, which is very snaggable, but there's a bank of sand beyond it, and I'm just sitting, I've got a whole squid sitting on there, so just sort of not see much. So yeah, we're just sort of some thunder over there a few minutes ago. We're just going to fish at an hour. So it's the new moon, it's very dark, you notice, perfect. We've got braid, we've got 50-pound braid on there. This is nice Stradic from Aussie. This reel has had some serious fish. That's had some amazing fish. Nice cob. Big cob off the New South Wales. It's had kingfish, all sorts. Elephant fish. Big smooth hound. This has seen it all, this reel. Okay. So what the point of this is, it's basically, it's slack water at the minute, it's high tide at the minute. And we'll be on this, it's got about another 20 minutes to go with the slack, and as soon as the tide turns, sometimes you get a bite then with the old bass. So when the tide starts going this way, I can't see it very well, can't see it at all actually, the tide will start pulling, going sort of heading north, or the tide will sort of come along the beach in a northerly sort of way as it ebbs. And sometimes you can get a bite that sort of that half an hour, that first sort of half an hour or an hour of when that tide is actually turned. I've found that can be quite productive for a bass. So that's I've just fished a session with the lure, as you can see on the video. And I fished that till about half an hour before high, and I've come here. This is actually a different spot. Because I couldn't get anything on the lure, I was going to fish the beach there. There's a few other people there fishing, and I just didn't fancy it for some reason. This was my original plan, so it's been a little bit more awkward to get to, but I've decided to come here and see if we can get a bite. See if we can get a bite. £50 braid, no shock leader, don't need it. And I have actually got a rotten bottom on this. So if we do get a fish on and it snares in this rough ground here over the top of the tide, which it will do, then I've got a £12 mono which is on, and then this £50 braid will snap it off. So as soon as I get hefted, if the fish is on and I wind into a snag, what I'll do, I'll just literally walk back with the rod until it snaps. I'll lose the lead, but the fish should still be on. So that's the plan. That is the plan. Let's have a little walk down to the beach here. See what we got. Is it clear here? Have a look. Yep, fairly clear. Weed. Ugh. Dreaded weed. There isn't any weed at the other end. Yeah, a bit of a... At least it stopped raining anyway. No movement in it. Let's try to look and see what's going on with the line. Yeah, it's nothing happening at the minute. There's no tide pull, you see, so we're not getting that weed on the line, which is a good thing. Anyway, I'll save this battery.